Before I start this video, I need to insert a prelude in here. And that is, about a year and a half to almost 2 years ago, I received a Powerbook 100 that I did a video on, and it's on my channel. Well, around that same time, I received a second one, and we did a repair on that one as well. However, at the same time, I was experimenting with this camera mount, and I had a USB webcam up here, and it was the most awful video and audio quality I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like 1999 quality. It's horrible. And because of that, that footage never really saw the life of day there, or the light of day. And I must apologize for that ahead of time. So if you can't handle that, that's okay. We can skip on to the next video that comes out in the future. But for now, that's what we had. Because what I ended up doing was, in that about year and a half to 2 years time, I got more PowerBook 100s. A lot more PowerBook 100s. Some mine, some of them are not. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to take all of these PowerBook 100s and just make a collage and break it up into a multi-part series. So we're just going to have this big PowerBook 100 Repairathon. I'm doing the same thing with the PowerBook Duo as well. So you'll see that coming up in the future. So this has been a long and involved process of the last year and a half. So without further ado, let's kick it off to part one. Howdy everybody in YouTube land. We have yet another PowerBook 100. So this is from the same person that the last one was from that we fixed. And if you haven't watched that video, I recommend you do, because that's the one where we had to go through LCD after LCD to try to find a good one. We were able to successfully achieve that, although it's not quite right because it looks like it was repaired from vinegar syndrome. But the point is, it worked. So that laptop got sent back, and that's where we are right now. So the original owner sent this one to me. Now this one he recently picked up, and it's in unknown condition. It needs a restoration. I don't know what's been done to it. We don't know if it's been recapped. We don't know if it hasn't. We really don't know. So upon first glance, what we have is, let's see, we're going to open this guy up. It's a little bit yellowed. And it's a lot of it yellowed. Anyways, so yeah, the screen doesn't appear to have any physical damage to it. Actually, no, I take that back. It does. So this guy is going to need an LCD as well. That's unfortunate. So here we go again with that. So we have a damaged LCD panel with this one, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Okay, so I don't know if he's going to be able to live with that or not. Maybe, maybe not. This is like a screen cancer. Because what happens with these is, like, the Game Boys have the same problem. Sometimes you can massage that out. Sometimes you can't. It takes a bit of work. Yeah. Anyways, that's done. Okay. That's not the only problem. So the trackball is very gritty feeling. It's not good. No. And then on the back side, we have... Oh boy. Yeah, that's a problem. I see some gluing in my future. Now, these machines are not known for being brittle, so this was shipping damage. Let's see, what's behind this cover? Yeah, that took a big jolt to the rear. Hinges don't look terrible. Oh yeah, you can see where it got banged up right there, so... Oh, she's seen better days. What do we have on the bottom? And we have gooey feet as usual. Those have to be taken care of eventually. Phillips screws? Don't remember that being a problem. But, alright, well, I guess the next step is we got to get this thing apart and see what we got going on. I don't know if it has the original caps or anything yet, but we got to get to a point where we can actually analyze it. So now I'm going to try something new. We are going to switch to the overhead camera while we take this thing apart. because yeah, it's something new I want to try. I'm slowly getting better video equipment as things goes on because I'm tired of getting yelled at. Quit moving the camera around, or get a tripod. Yeah. Anyways, this is not a professional channel. This is my hobby. Okay, so there's no money involved in any of this stuff. Anyway, so all right, let's get this thing apart. All right, so now we are on the overhead camera here. So let's get in here and start getting our machine taken apart. Now I'm using the microphone that's in the camera above you, so I don't know how it's going to sound. This is my webcam that I retired off my main rig because we had a problem with the microphone working at all. And I moved the camera over to this machine and it works for some reason. I don't know. Technology, right? Okay, so we got those 3 screws out, and you. Oh boy, yeah, that just like it's brittle. It's extremely brittle. It's starting to. Wow, it's broken back here too. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is. That's not good. Not good at all. So you got to come out. Wow, yeah, this is just not good. It's literally just falling apart. I don't know if it's been recapped, as I explained earlier. Alright, well, I'll deal with that in a minute. I need to get the rest of this thing apart, so let's do that now. This section is not so bad, actually. Oh, it's got the original battery in it. No! Okay. Well, let me get this out of the way first. Yeah, it's got all the original caps. So we're not going to know. We might have to go back onto another hunt for another LCD. We don't know yet. But we don't know what's going on with this until we get it recapped. So, unfortunately, this thing has seen far better days. That's a rig. That's interesting. Some resistors down there. This is a CR2430 lithium by Renata. Yeah, this thing is broken. Like busted solid. Where's the post? Is the post completely broke off for this? I bet it is. Oh wow, there's 3 batteries. Ooh yeah, she's leaking. So these coin cells do indeed leak. Yeah, that's a problem. So you're going to go away. Yeah, still has the original hard drive in it, and it's just kind of like laying down here. There's no... Do these things not have a caddy? Because this is just laying down here. That has me a bit concerned, but that's not so important right now. Because you can just put a blue SCSI in here, right? So I'm not worried about that. So you're going to go away right now. Let's get all these screws out. Yeah, this thing is completely just trashed. But yeah, I'm trying to find out. I don't see a spot where that ever was. Because this would have been... Yeah, I see. There was a post right here. It's gone. So this thing is never going to work. So this thing's never going to work. Because there's a post that's missing. Yep, it's busted right off. Because it goes between here and here. You can see it. That plastic piece was never supposed to come off. Alright, well, I guess I can just kind of glue this back together and just set it in here, but it'll never work right because it's busted off. Both feet are completely snapped off. You can see it here and here. Wow. Okay, well, she needs a lot of work. So in the meantime, I need to probably set this aside because I can work on that later. And the big thing for me is this, getting that work. Now, I'm listening to the audio on this camera, and it's really terrible. So, sorry about that. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that right now. Alright, so before I go any further, I need to check the fuses here. So let's see, make sure we're good there. We are. That's the only fuse that I see on this board. Everything else looks fine. Alright. So, now, people that are watching my channel probably watch other retro computing channels, and that's fine. One thing that's just always heavy for debate is how to remove these capacitors. People use hot air, people use the bend and twist method, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. Some are less, they all have their pros and cons in different ways. Like, for example, a lot of people use hot air, and there's no problem with using hot air until you get into situations like this where you're up against all this plastic here. Same thing here. You can use hot air there, but you're going to melt the buttons, right? It's like you can use hot air out here, no problems. But then when you start getting into all of these different areas, you start running into issues. So, yeah, there's multiple different methods. So the first thing I do is, now that I have a camera and I actually have both hands free, first thing I like to do is I like to take a reference photo of the board that I'm working with. And I want to get in close here so I can see the values of these inductors. So we're all good there. So the method that I choose to use is the one that everybody hates. But you know what? I don't care. What works for me is what works for me. So in some cases where it's hard to get to, what I like to do is I'll get in here like so. I'll put downward pressure on it and I'll cut it. And that's how I do that. So I'm going to move that stuff out of the way. I just cut it and move the old parts over there. So then what it allows me to do is it allows me to get in here and get to the rest of the components. So when I do that, it results in the least amount of damage to the board. Like, I didn't lose any pads, everything's fine. So that's just how I do it. So everybody has their own ways of doing it. Now these are a little harder to do. So they're very easy to get to. So yeah, that one would have ripped off the pads if they were weak. But I'm okay. There's no problem here at all. So everything's good. So also I want to try to talk as lightly as I can, because I've noticed with this camera, if I speak too loud, it acts like a body cam, like what cops use. So yeah, and where it just like starts scratchy, distortion. Not a good time. So I'm just gonna try to talk lightly. But now some of these capacitors I don't have, like this 4.7 at 50 that's right here. I don't have that one. Now I probably have a through-hole version of it. It's not ideal or something like that. And I need to order the right capacitors for this board anyways. But here's the thing. I'm just going to use what I have on hand for testing, just to make sure that everything works and that we don't have any major faults, like the LCD panel itself is completely screwed, or maybe we have a bad chip or something like that. I want to roll everything out before I start getting the right cap kit for this. It's one of those things you learn, like, you got to learn which weapons you're going to use in the battlefield here. So we're just going to make sure that everything works fine before we move on with getting the exact right components we need. So yeah, that's where we are at this current moment in time. So I think we'll just take that approach. Alright, so I washed the motherboard and it's drying right now. So while that is drying, I figured I might as well see what I can do about these plastics. So these things should not be that. I'll just say that. So let's figure out what we got to do here to make this thing work right. So I'm trying to think of how this comes off. I love these hemostats because they make doing this stuff so much easier sometimes. This one I can't really get the right angle. So I'm trying to figure out how to get the right angle on this, because I have to get this oh, wow, that does not want to come out of there. Wow, this thing really got broken. You know what I think happened? Someone bought this thing for shipping, and then they just threw it in a box and didn't, you know, pack it properly. So, oh, there we go. That's better. God, this thing is just totally Corko-twinkulated. So, let's see. Alright, so now I got the feet off, and I'm trying to fix it. So this, I've come to find out, is not ABS plastic. How do I know that's not ABS plastic? Because I tried this plastic stretch solvent stuff, and it is not working. So we're going to have to do this a different way. Probably the super glue method, which this stuff's messy. Gets on your fingers and makes a mess. So, you know, apparently you can mix this with baking soda and it works really good, but I'm not sure how I would do that with something like this. Maybe I could fill it on the inside, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. This is a very clean break. Oh yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Baking soda and super glue works extremely well. You can kind of see what I did there. And then I used the grinding tool to kind of like clean this up a bit. That way I get all the excess glue off and baking soda, because the way this actually works is this pin fits in this groove. So that way this thing can lock into place. Right? So that's how that works. Now that's fixed. The problem now is the foot that goes on that side, the pin's gone. It's missing. So there's nothing I can do with this foot because I'm missing the pin. So it's just gonna roto-tweebulate around with no way to actually make this work. So it's unfortunate, but it's where we are at this current moment in time. So I can't fix that. That is just what it is. Now, I was able to at least get this one fixed, so there will be some type of stability with this anyways. But again, like I've said in so many previous videos in the past, it's literally polishing a turd at this point because there's so much broken. Like, we've got to figure out this. I don't know if this is ABS or not. We're going to find out, because if the MEK doesn't work on this one, I got to do the same thing here. I got to have some type of glue. The problem with this is because of where it's broke, it's on this pivot point. So patching this without getting into the pivot is going to be incredibly difficult. So yeah, I'm just hoping this is ABS, because if it's not, it's not going to work, unfortunately. But other than that, the glue and soda method works really, really well. I like that. That's nice. Alright, so motherboard's dried up, so we're good there. All we got to do now is just get the capacitors installed. I got to see what I have on hand for testing. I did talk to the original owner, and he said the little blemish on the LCD, he can live with that if everything else works and there's no big stripe in it like the previous one. And if that's the case, then we'll just leave it alone. But I've got this all glued up now. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all, but it's done. So that's glued, that's glued. I got this glued because this one was broken too, so that's all in there. I got that glued up, so that's good. This is good. Now, the problem with this one is when you pivot, it increases this thing because there's a groove in there, right? So that works perfectly fine now that I glued it all back up. Problem is this one's missing that pin, like I said, so it won't. There's nothing to hold that in, so that's still an issue. But unfortunately, unless I have a 3D printer, I can't do anything about that. See, I need to get into 3D printing and modeling, and this is why, because I could make a new one of these. I could make a new foot insert. I could make a new one of those. You know what I mean? 3D printing could have fixed this. But at least I had it all there to patch it up, so that's fine. I didn't get a battery with it. He probably has the battery. That's fine as well. So, okay, so this is done, and I can set you out of the way. So what I have to do now is I've got to get the capacitors together for this. I need to get this out of the way. I'll just move you over there for right now. Alright, now that we have all the capacitors off, we're going to have to scrub a dub. Because this thing is nasty, especially down in this area. You can see how bad that one had leaked. So, and up here too, and I'm worried about traces and stuff. Now the schematics for the Powerbook 100 are available, luckily. So, alright, now we're just going to have to scrub it dub this guy and make sure that there's no other issues like open traces and stuff like that, and then we will move forward with this thing. Right here, 47 microfarad at 16 volts, and it shows a C28. But if we look at this design, thank you, gimbal, you're not working. But if we take a look at here, we only have a C27, but we don't have a C28 anywhere. So there's been some design revisions over the years. So what we got to do is we have to take this into account, and this is the 12 volt boost converter, so there should only be 12 volts on there. So why they put a 50 volt cap in there, I wonder if that was a mistake from the factory or maybe not. So I think I'll take a man in the middle approach, because they chose a 4.7 on purpose. The circuit calls for a 47, but I have a 10 at 50, so I think what I can do is I can put a 10 at 50 in there. So right here, the 4.7 at 50 volt is C39. So if we take a look at the schematic, there's C39. Well, if we look, that is the battery voltage input here, which has a 47 all the way over there. So there's, and then let's look at the ground connection, the negative connection. It's going straight to ground. So there's absolutely no reason why that needs to be a 50 volt rated capacitor. I can put a 16 volt in there. I can put a 25 volt in there, right? I could even put a 10 volt in there, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather go to a 16. So that's what I mean by component substitutions, right? So let's say there's another value you don't have. Well, what if you only had 10 microfarad caps? Well, let's look at the circuit. Is it safe to put a 10 microfarad in there? Yeah. Why? Because this is just a filter capacitor for this VCC voltage going out. That's it. Same thing over here. This is 100 mic at 10 volt. I could put 100 mic at 16. I could put whatever in there, right? Because this is the inverted output. The negative 5 volts going out to serial and whatever else. So that's what I mean by component substitutions. We can substitute based on what it's doing in the circuit and what the safe operating parameters are based on what's going on. And a lot of it is intuition, but a lot of it is also experience. Like, for example, do you need a 50 volt cap here? No, you don't, because there's not going to be 50 volts on this junction. You'll blow it up. So yeah, you can do substitutions if you know what you're doing. Alright, so here's another scenario right here. C20, this is supposed to be a 10 microfarad at 16 volts. Now, if you look in the schematic, C20 is part of the timing circuit for this guy right here, which means using a ceramic here would not be possible. Why? Because if the voltage changes and fluctuates across this, it's going to change the frequency of this chip, which is a bad thing, right? So you got to know where you're substituting parts. So we can't use a ceramic here because we can't change that because of the timing constraints. Now, these two are just filter capacitors, debounce filters for these two buttons. So I could use ceramics there, no problem. It's not critical. So that's what I mean when you're trying to substitute chemistry, just for entertainment purposes. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that Amiga Rochester gave me some parts at the VCF Midwest show, so I have the 10s and 1s and stuff like that in the right chemistry, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Last but not least, as far as the surface mount ones go, we have to do the CPU card. So this one was another 10 microfarad at 16 volts. You got to get that off of there. That, and then we got to clean it up. Clean you up, and then once that's all nice and clean, that's all done. I'm going to clean up the flux. Clean there. 10 mic at 16 volt. There we go. So we put you there. And we solder you in. So the way I do these, everyone's different, but the way I do it is I solder the very hard to get to spot first. Like there's a connector here, so I can't get in here after it's soldered. So what I do is I'll tin the pad, and I'll heat it up while slowly moving the cap into position, and then I'll solder the other side like so, and then I'll re-tin the opposite side to get it to flow better, and that's it, done. Alright, so that's done. I got one more cap to do on this board here, which is another 47 at 16. Yeah, I forgot it goes right there. So I need that one, which will go here. Same thing. I tend to like tin one pad, then I'll use the solder itself and I'll scoot it up into position, solder the other lead, reflow this one again to make it look neat, and then there we go, done. That cap is soldered. So that's it. So now I just got to do the through hole stuff. Alright, so now that that's done, we need to see if this thing's going to work. So that now comes the fun part. Does this thing actually work? Which the LCD is a big wild card, which is why it's like, well, I just went ahead and did the plastic gluing and all of that anyways. But yeah, it scares me because I don't know how this thing is going to work. But I got to be super quick with the panel, because if you leave the panel on too long with the bad caps, it will damage the ribbon that's on this bottom side here. So that's an issue. Anyways, that's good. Let's see, I want to get you in here as well. the U there. There's the CPU card. Well, that was kind of stupid because I got to get the keyboard in there to turn it on. Okay, well, because the issue with this is trying to get the keyboard in here, because you got to have the keyboard to trip the power on, because it won't work otherwise. So, yeah. And this, the problem with this is it's fiddly. It's fiddly to get this in here. I guess what doesn't help is the fact that these connectors overlap. Alright. Crap. Alright, so that's in there now. Let's see. Does it work? Does it not? Nobody knows, but we're going to find out. Alright, well, the screen's on. It works. Wow. It's working. And it's not liking the contrast turned up. So it's not, yeah. Anyways, I don't know if you can see it, but you can kind of see the, it's definitely on. Yeah, it's definitely on. You can see the floppy icon. Alright, we're good. So there we go. We are good. So now I just got to get the screen apart next. Ugh, more broken plastic. At least the piece is there. Yeah, it's annoying. It's very, very annoying. This is ABS at least, so that helps. Okay, where was I before I got distracted gluing plastic? So we're going to set you aside. There. Better clean that up, because if I don't, and I lay this screen down, it's going to melt the crap out of it. Okay, so now how do I get this apart? Pop that off. Now I've got to get you out. Oh, you know what? That's melted. Yeah, that's no. That's melted. Luckily, there's not much to it. Whoa, that one's... Yeah. This thing has just got miles of broken plastic. That becomes apparent in a second. See? So, here's the next problem. These caps need to be replaced because they're shot. These are all 3.3 at 35 volt, which I'm pretty sure I have those. Alright, so that gets done there, and yeah. Ugh. God, this whole thing, this one's busted off too. Crap. Holy mackerel. Okay, well that was dumb because I have to glue that back down. Dang it. Alright, well, okay. This one is actually not bad. This one doesn't have nearly as bad of leakage on it at all. So, that one's okay. Let me set that away for a second. Because, crap, more broken plastic. This stuff is really getting a workout. So you... lining that up is going to be fun. So let's see here. There. Sheesh. Moving right along. Alright, so the way to do with these displays is, sorry guys, this is going to be a long video, and I'll probably chapter it all out, but alright, so the way to do these LCDs is, once you get it out, what we need to do is, first off, we have to peel up the tape here. So once that is out of the way, then you have to open up these tabs, which this is too flexible, so we're just going to do it this way. Okay. Careful of the bulb. And then we're going to pop this off out of here, which should be relatively straightforward. Like so. So that is out of the way. Now we have to, well, you stick back on. So now we have to get this panel out, and the way we do that is we push it up on this side very, very carefully. Without damaging anything, which is proving to be difficult because these things are typically not that frozen in there. Oh, I see the problem right now. The film is stuck. The backlight diffuser. Yeah, it's stuck. Be careful with fingerprints, but you can always clear that off. There we go. So now it's free. There. Now we separate the two halves. Check for vinegar. I don't see any. Okay. There. Set you out of the way. So you look good. Yeah, when you take these panels apart, you got to be careful and not get little debris in there, or it'll just get in the picture. Okay, so that's done. We're going to set you out of the way. That's done, so that leaves this. So what we're going to do with this is, I'm going to take you, and what I want to do is this right here. So here's what I do. I do this to protect the panel from being damaged. Actually, I don't want to do it that way. I'm just going to do it this way. And there it is. That'll protect this panel from like solder blobs and all of that other stuff from getting onto it and screwing it all up. So at that point, we just need to get you out. So what we do is we just bend all these guys up. They're kind of anchored down with a little bit of glue. It's nothing too devastating here. And there we go. So now we're going to remove those. That's what I mean about how close they are. That's 7mm height, and it's just like they're ran together. So best I can do. So now I just got to get this guy put back together and move on to the next thing. putting this back together is fun because it's going to pick up dust. So I got to try to get all the black crap out of here and check and make sure all this is out. Try to get this thing in here correctly, the right way, which is going to be fun, but it's got to be done. Fish the cable through the hole. Alright, so the next thing to do is once again so that. Blow it out with air. And there we go, really. It's fairly simple. Alright, so and that is it with that. So make sure everything is lined up, and it is. We put you back down here like so. Not gonna be perfect, but alright. Now before I put the metal frame on, I want to grab some alcohol and clean this screen. Trying to do that in a little more of a controlled way, but that failed. Because this thing is nasty. Basically, I'm trying to get into the corners, the edges here that are hidden by the bezel, because that was the areas that was nasty the most. Yeah, that's much better. Much, much, much better. Oh yeah. Alright, yeah, I'm still, again, polishing a turd because we have a screen cancer right there, but he says he can live with it, so I'm going to just roll with what I got. I suppose if there's a trade-off, it's better than having like a big black bar there where you can't even use it, right? So I'd rather have that than a big black bar. So alrighty then. Now it's a matter of squeezing you back in there. Even though I shouldn't be doing this until I test it. But, you know, I roll dangerously. I just pretend it's going to work just fine. Trying to be optimistic. Even though when it comes to vintage crap like this, there's always that wild card. Alright. There we go. We're done. All accounted for, yes. And there it is. One recapped, nice fresh caps, and clean display. Alrighty then. Okay. Now, it's time for the reassembly process of the LCD panel assembly, which is this guy right here. So I had to take the hinge area apart because there were some cracks and stuff here. So I'm hoping it's been a while enough to where it's hardened, because that's the issue, is I don't know. Yeah, so it's good. So what I did was I folded these down so that I can slip you. Come on. Because this thing's tricky to get out of here. next thing we need to work on is the hard drive. I want to check it for rubber because I need to know what's going on with that. Oh, la 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 la. Okay. It's got this rubber gasket, which is it degrading? No. That's kind of impressive, actually. So, does this have a... Pliers going to be here, head assembly's going to be there. Can't tell if there's a screw under there or not. 240 megabyte. Is that original? No, there's no way. No, this was replaced. There's no way that's original. Actually, I might leave that thing alone. Alright, next up, trackball. This thing is very grimy and gritty. It's not good. So these have little rubber rollers in here. They're very disgusting. So, okay. Gross. I wonder if someone sanded this ball, because that's not right. Yeah, it's very, very, yeah, someone sanded this ball because it's very scratched up. So someone has certainly been screwing around. Anyways, we got to clean this these rollers because they're not. So the problem with these, the rollers are slipping. See how they're moving back and forth? They're not supposed to do that. No, they're not. Like this one's not. So that's an issue. Very nasty. Very, very nasty with finger grease. And so what I'm probably going to have to do... This is a really, really bad idea, but it's the only way I know to fix this problem. And that is it's a really dumb idea, but we'll see if it works. So what I did right there, if you didn't see, is I put a little bit of super glue onto the shaft and I moved the roller over on top of it. So yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna have to hope that works out. Seems to be. All right. Alright, Will it work or will it not? Let's find out. Well, it's on. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but hard drive spinning up. Nope, hard drive no good. Hard drive no working. Alright, side to side movement is working fine. Up and down's very, very sketchy, which is not surprising because that's the roller that I had a problem with. So yeah, we have a bad hard drive, or possibly, let's see, reboot. Whoops, wrong one. See if it even attempts to access the drive. No, it doesn't. So, okay. I'm going to have to go get a floppy disk, and we're going to have to see if the hard drive is actually any good. Because it may not be. May not be. Actually, you can kind of see it better that way. Yeah, so hard drive is not functioning. We're going to have to play around with that. So, I'll be back. Alright, floppy drive's connected. So here we go. Let's grab my System 6 disk. I don't know if this drive's any good either. Well, we'll see. Well, it's booting. So that's a good thing. Yeah, it has this little bit of cancer there, but really, it's not that bad. I'll take that over a big bar down here. Because at least you can still use it, right? So. Well, hey, hard drive fired up. Ah, it's blank. That makes a lot of sense. So here's what we're going to do just for grins and shiggles. We're just going to copy everything over. Let's see, where did the error... Oh. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, I need to replace the rollers on mouse. Alright, so... 1, 2... Let's just erase that. God dang it. Erase disk. Yeah, that's not going to work. And what happens is these rollers go bad. Let's see if that works. May or may not, but we'll see. Yeah, it's taking way too long. I fixed this roller with super glue. I guess I got to fix the bottom one now, or the side roller. Not a big deal. Yeah, that's not good. That hard drive is done. Well, it formatted, so we're trying again. But for some weird reason, it just keeps hanging up. I think that drive is bad. Or it was formatted with a different... Yeah, this is not right. Something's up with that. Alright, you know what? We're just going to Lido this thing. Do a surface scan, because I think it's bad. Tests. Verify test. Alright, let's do it. See what happens. And there you go. There's your problem. Hard drive's bad. Alright, so I'm going to go get a hold of the original owner. He might just put a blue SCSI in it. I'll figure out what he's going to do. So once I get confirmation for that, I'm just going to put this thing all the way back together. I still got to put that shield in there, which I left that out because it's going to have to come back apart anyways because I got to fix this properly. So, yeah. Alright, let me figure that out. I think I got this thing figured out, and you're going to laugh when you find out what that actually was. But let me try this first. No. Actually, never mind. I'm doing this wrong. There we go. I need to copy the system folder over. Try that again. Here we go. Let's see if it'll actually work this time. I had to change floppy drives too because the other one was bad. Hey, it's writing successfully. I'm already ahead of where I was. It's actually working. I am amazed. I'm quite happy. Nope, I hear clickety clackers. Alright, so let's make sure the folder's blessed. It is. Restart. See if it boots from the hard drive. It does. It's working. Wow, that was fast. System 6 is quick on this machine. It's got 4 megabytes of RAM. Wow, let me do that again. System 6 is super fast on this machine. Yeah. So I'll show you what the problem is. Let me shut it down, and you'll see exactly what it is. All right. So basically, first I took the hard drive apart so I can inspect the rubber, and the rubber is actually doing okay in this drive. So I put it back together, but one thing I noticed right away, there was a little tiny resistor just hanging out down there, an SMD resistor. I'm like, what in the world? So I took a closer look at the drive. These 2 resistors were missing. So I soldered the one back on and soldered another one in. I just kind of bodged it because I don't have any of these surface mount resistors handy. So I bodged it in, and guess what? No more problems. The hard drive is working perfectly fine. So I think he's still going to put a blue SCSI in it from the conversation I had with him. So that's okay. But hey, the original hard drive is working. So there we go. Now I can start buttoning this guy back up together. So I like that. It makes life so much easier. So alrighty then. Moving right along. Alright, so I went ahead and took that through hole resistor out because this was just in my way, because it hits right up against that. So that's an issue, which is why these got knocked off to begin with, because there's no hard drive bracket. So I went ahead and replaced that, and I should be able to get this guy back in here. Much better. I got a base install of System 7, which I just did from the 800K floppies. Hard drive is mounted in here. This thing's all put together. Everything's ready to go. So I think I'm going to call it for this particular machine. It has been restored. It's working properly. Unfortunately, that's an issue, but there's not much I can do about that. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. Feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching.